sandals on the way I'm sliding up. I won't join no gang cause I speak truth and I ain't slime enough. I can't kill my brothers, we the same, it's just not adding up. Esau he a killer, genocide he keeps attracting us. Most I say be fruitful, multiply so we be adding up. Compare his seed to the sand of the sea, we deep so you can't add us up. My people they got hate inside they heart, they wanna paint us up. Grew up in a red zone, blood tears, I see red flags on us. This world be killing me with lies the way they capping on me. Like these publicans, they coons and seeing the way they taxing on me. Prove what you say, the evidence, show me the facts, lil' homie. Don't hold your tongue, just bring it out. What's on your mind, lil' brody? Riding on Forgiatos, bougie, how we sit Moscato. Feast days of the Lord, champagne, be rainy poncho. Salvation of the Lord's people, come on, we need that pronto. Wisdom, yes, it bring riches like we just won a lotto. Keep these commandments in the faith, my brother, that's the motto. Most High humble you quick, boy, if you think you macho. Israel, we poor, but we rich in spirit.
It's all about your father.
With my father, I would be I'm pretty much
African American, right?
yeah.
But African American is just a title. Because African American, that's the name of two white men. Right? You got Scipio Africanus and Amerigo Vespucci. Whatever lands the so-called white man go to and conquered, he calls it after his own name. So he came to America, conquered it from the indigenous people, and called it America. Same thing he did with Africa. Give me Psalms chapter 49, verse 11. Let's prove that. You believe in the Bible, brother? Okay, all praise to the Most High. That's a beautiful thing. Right? Because the Bible is a book. It's a history book for the Israelites. It's a love note written to our people from God himself. Bring this out. Psalms 49 and 11.
Book of Psalm, chapter 49 and verse 11.
Right?
Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
That's the thought pattern of the so-called white man, that he's going to rule forever on the earth. Read on.
And their dwelling places to all generations.
Read on.
They called their lands after their own name.
Right, so whatever landmass that the so-called white man goes to and conquers, he calls it after his own name. So he conquered us as a nation of people. That's why we call ourselves African American, two white men. But that's not who we are, brother. Those are bywords that was placed upon our people.
Right.
According to the Bible, we are the chosen, the Israelites. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. You ever heard that before, brother? That we are the Israelites?
Can you ask me that again?
Have you ever heard that before? That we are the Israelites?
Yes. Yes.
Where you hear that from, brother?
Sunday school.
True. That's one part. But I've always I did my genealogy. I was surprised that it didn't come out. I'm an artist, so a lot of things come out of me, even as me as a prayer warrior. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I know what comes out of me. You know what I'm saying? So, it's something that
So you did your DNA test, and it didn't come back as an Israelite.
It did not.
Well, DNA, when you really check it out, there's no real science behind that, brother. A lot of that stuff is flawed. Because when you check it out, they tested a dog, and it came back that the dog was Native American. Now, how can a dog be Native American, brother?
Wow.
That's an animal.
I never heard that one.
Bring this out, Deuteronomy 28 and 37.
Did y'all hear about what the next
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 37.
Right?
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
And a what?
A proverb and a byword.
Right, so a byword is anything you call yourself outside of your identity. Right? It's what society knows you as. Read on. Yeah, we got you, brother. All praises. Bring this out. Yeah. Get it. Bring it up.
Among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Among what?
Among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
And our people are scattered among all nations. You also said that you was mixed with Nigeria. You got a lot of our people over there in Nigeria. When you check out on this side, you got Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. And also Kenya scattered Israelites. You got Israelites in Kenya. You got Israelites in China. You got Israelites in Japan. Right? It's Israelites all over the earth. Right? The Lord said his people would be as the sands of the sea. Right? Can you number the sands of the sea, brother? No man could. So you can't number the Israelites, we're so abundant. You understand? So this is a curse that will fail the Israelites, and this is how we know and we identify these people today. Right? Because a sign lets you know something, brother. Like that sign says Michigan and Cass, it lets us know. I don't really need it. right? It lets us know that we're on Michigan and Cass. It's a sign. So likewise, these curses lets us know that we are the Israelites. Give me that Deuteronomy 28 and 46.
Deuteronomy 28 and verse 46.
Right?
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
And upon thy what?
And upon thy seed forever.
So these curses are upon us for a sign and for a wonder, and upon our seed forever. How you feel about police brutality, brother, and our people being killed and slaughtered? Right? They found the so-called black man hung in his truck. Right? He was an on-the-road driver, and they found him hung on his truck, and they said it was self-inflicted. But a lot of times, they hang our people and kill us and say it was suicide. But a lot of times, there was foul play behind that situation. So that goes to show you that our enemies constantly kill us, brother. What happened to George Floyd? Right. Do you remember what happened to George Floyd? He was murdered, right? Yep. He was murdered on camera. Right? They put the knee on his neck and took the life out of that brother. Give me Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 5. Whoever get it, not to use our phones. Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 5.
So you Mason.
Right? The classic precept. Quick on that sword. Quick on that sword.
I'm gonna get to walking after your next verse, brother.
Book of Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 5, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
What people possess us right now, brother? You familiar with slavery?
Mm-hmm.
What happened during the times of slavery?
A lot happened.
A lot like what?
You mean from the beginning to being taken from your land, or being taken and given from your land, and then coming to here?
What you mean given?
Given, well, meaning like everybody wasn't enslaved. A lot of the tribal leaders gave away like some of the members of the tribe to slavery. They sold us.
Say blacks sold blacks?
Blacks did sell blacks.
That's not true, brother. You had Africans that sold Hebrews.
Right.
There's no such thing as a black person on the earth. You got different melanated nations.
Well, they went to the certain places. In the certain places that they went to, the leaders, some of them sold some of their people.
Right. Well, you had Africans that sold Israelites.
Right.
The so-called white man put out a lie and deception to say that blacks sold each other.
Well, that's something that I feel like that's not something that they're really saying. We all know that like it happened in many different ways, from violence to plunder and pillage. You know, it came in so many ways. You know, like money has always been a thing in Africa. It's the richest place in the world when it comes to the resources of the land. Okay. And Africans, we love money. They love money.
Check out this sign right here, bro. How do you feel about the things on this sign? You got the so-called black man with his back beaten in due to getting whipped. You got a so-called white man that harvested black slaves' heads. He cut off their head and harvest their heads. Right? You got so-called black men and women getting lynched. You got children being fed to alligators. How do you feel about that?
That's horrible.
That's horrible, right?
Yeah, it makes me feel really bad.
It makes you feel bad. Now give me Deuteronomy 28 verse 22.
Book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 to verse 22.
Now did you know that's documented in the Bible? That this will happen to God's chosen people. 28 and 22.
Book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 22.
Right.
And the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with inflammation, and with extreme burning.
Give me verse 25.
Verse 25.
Right.
And the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemy.
To be what?
To be smitten before thy enemy.
That word smitten means to be killed. So the Lord is now causing us to be killed before our enemies. Read on.
Thou shalt go one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all kingdoms of the earth.
Now, one last thing, brother. How did the so-called black man get to America? Did we swim over here? Did we fly over here first class or get here on a banana boat?
I personally believe that we already had come here on our own before slavery.
Right, you had Native American tribes and a lot of Northern Kingdom tribes that came over here. But how did so-called black people, chiefly African Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians, how did we get to these different lands that we in now? Primarily America.
The majority came from slavery and slave ships.
Slave ships, right?
The majority.
The majority. Give me Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And you give me 1 Kings 16 and 15. Bring this out.
Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68.
You know,
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
so the Lord said he would bring the Israelites back into bondage again. That's what the word Egypt means. Are you familiar with the story of Moses, the book of Exodus? What were the Israelites doing in Egypt? We living good?
Well, they were the Israelites when they were in Egypt. Originally they were most of them were enslaved.
Right. We were brought into bondage in Egypt. So this is after the Lord delivered us from Egypt. You understand? He said, if you break my commandments, I'm going to bring you back into bondage. That's what Egypt means. Even when you check out the back of your dollar bill, it has a what? A pyramid on it, which is all symbolic and representation for Egypt. Bring this out.
Deuteronomy 28, 68.
Right.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Meaning bondage again. Read on.
With ships.
With what?
With ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there thee shall be sold unto your enemies.
What people would be sold to when we got off those slave boats, brother? Sold to the white man. When we got off those slave ships and docked in different parts of the southern states, Virginia.
What was that last verse?
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. When we got to Virginia, Maryland, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, you understand? We were sold to different plantations. Whether you were sold to Master Johnson, Master Jenkins, Master Smith, Master Lynch. Hey, give me that. I want to see this. Give me it. Verse 16.
Thank you, brother.
14 and 15. All right, brother. So what's your nationality?
What's my nationality?
American. Israelite. That's who you are.
Okay.
Because that verse I just read to you, what people does it sound like that happened to? Sold off a slave boat, never to see their homeland again. Sold to their enemies. Would you say that resonates more with our people or the Chinese man?
How'd you know I was thinking about? I had Chinese in my mind, but it resonates, of course, with our people.
Our people, right? Well, hold on now. This book, the book of Deuteronomy, was written prior to the 1600s and the 1500s. So how did Moses know that this particular people will be enslaved in the future? This is a prophecy. Moses was a prophet.
Yeah,
You believe in prophets, right?
I do.
And the Lord comes to them by way of dreams and visions. But Moses, he spake plainly to him. And he
Right.
showed him everything.
Do you believe in Christ consciousness?
Christ consciousness.
Yeah,
I believe in Yahweh Shai.
I
The
do
word
too.
called Jesus
I do
Christ.
too. Yahweh. That's what Yahweh, Elohim, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi. But I do believe in Christ consciousness. It's something that I've striven for.
What do you mean by
my
Christ
life?
consciousness?
Christ consciousness is the highest state of being, like under the principles of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I heard that term.
It's
before.
where we all have to get to at the. We all eventually need to get there.
Right.
It's the alignment of heart and mind. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So with so-called Christ conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to that high level of being like the Lord willing? How do you obtain that crown? What do you have to do in order to get to that point?
think it's a lot for everybody. Sometimes it depends. I don't know. Honestly, it depends on the person. You could get there through staying with Christ through like the worst times ever. You could go through like the most extreme, painful things. Sometimes those things can turn you into like, or lead you to a different route. But it comes when you stand strong in Christ. That's just my opinion.
So you pretty much got to stand strong in the midst of trials and afflictions and temptations.
I mean, it's easier said than done. Yes.
Okay. Let me bring this out. 2nd Esdras 8:49.
Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8 and verse 49.
Right.
And that thou hast humbled thyself, as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself.
Give me looking for 2nd Esdras 8, I believe it's 29. 2nd Esdras 8:29. Bear with us, bro. 8:29. Yep.
2nd Ezra, chapter 8 and verse 29. Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts.
Right, so at one point in time, we lived like beasts. We was hating one another, right? We was killing one another.
Well, I think that's what it is like right now. It's probably the most beastly it's ever been.
Right. It's carnal. This is a carnal world. Just like in the days of Noah.
Right.
They say the heart of man was only evil continually when you read Genesis 6 and 5. And we living in those same days. The Lord said, just as the days of Noah,
to be alive right now.
so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Right? So we live like beasts once upon a time. But when you come back to Christ, Yahweh Shai, that's his real name, and start keeping the commandments, you begin to live more like Christ. Bring this up.
But to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law.
But to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. Read on.
Take now no indignation.
Verse 29. Yeah, read verse 29.
Verse 29.
Right?
Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts, but to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law.
Right? Let's say keep commandments and affliction. Yeah, verse 27.
Verse 27.
Yep.
Verse 27. Regard not.
This is going back to what you said. Pretty much you got to follow Christ even in the midst of affliction. Bring this up.
And all of us, I'm from Detroit, so that's not the normal way for most people. You usually handle it on your own. You know what I'm saying? So it takes Christ to not do those things.
Absolutely.
Like that last verse that he just said.
Yeah, because you always got
Not-
the flesh against the spirit.
Exactly.
And it's warned against it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we pretty much going against the grain when we following after Christ. Because this world is teaching you to give into your lust.
Exactly.
You understand?
That is exactly. When we follow after Christ, that is the godly way to go. It's not always the most human or the most fleshly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's all spiritual. Yeah. Because your flesh will tell you do what you want to do. Yeah. Your flesh will tell you what? Watch porn. Right? Go freak off with that woman. Mm-hmm. Go smoke that blunt. Right? Covet that brother's wife. Rob that brother for his shoes. Take his goods. Scam this elderly woman. That's what your flesh will tell you to do. Right. Hey, but the spirit is always it's like a brick wall. I can't do that. I got to cleave to God. And bring this up. 2nd Esdras 8 and 27.
2nd Ezra 8 and 27. Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies in affliction.
That do what?
That keep thy testimonies in affliction.
That keep thy testimonies in affliction. So even when we've been afflicted and catching hell, we still got to keep the testimonies of the Lord. And that's easier said than done. But we can do all things through Christ.
That's right.
That's in Philippians 4 and 13.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
He got one.
Thank you.
Another brother got another precept for you. Bring us up.
Jeremiah 6 and 16.
All right.
Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask from the old path.
Ask for the old paths. Read on.
Where is the good way?
And the good way is what? Following after Christ.
Yeah.
And Christ did what? He kept the commandments.
That's right.
Christ kept the law.
Right.
He had on fringes when you read Matthew 14 and 36. Right. He kept the feast days when you read John the 7th chapter. He kept the Sabbath day. He didn't eat abominations
At all.
Read on.
And walk therein.
Do what?
And walk therein.
Do what?
And walk therein.
You gotta walk in the ways of the Lord. Right. So how do you walk in the way of God, bro? Can you eat pork and walk in the way of the Lord? Can you pray over that swine's flesh, that piggy, and kind of go to town?
Yeah.
Thanks. Give me John 14.
We do it every year. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's.
So even with those holidays,
days.
right? Are those
I try not to
holidays?
eat. I try not to eat pork, but I do. I eat bacon.
You eat bacon? Well, you got different types of bacon. You got beef bacon. You got turkey bacon, chicken bacon, right? Lamb bacon. You understand?
But I really don't like pork. I don't like the taste of it.
So you're not supposed to like it, even if it was tasting good to you.
That's right.
Because the Lord said it's an abomination. We're going to bring it out. Deuteronomy 14 and 3.
Deuteronomy 14 and verse 3.
Right?
And it's swine, because it divideth the hoof,
It said it divided the hoof. Read on.
yet cheweth not the cud.
Meaning it doesn't properly digest its food. Right? It doesn't have the ruminants to properly digest its meal. Read on.
It is unclean unto you.
It is what?
It is unclean unto you.
What is pork?
It is unclean unto you.
What is pig?
It is unclean unto you.
Ham hog.
It is unclean unto you.
Pork bacon.
It is unclean unto you.
Scrabble.
It is unclean unto you.
Millie wobble.
It is unclean unto you.
You can't deal with it, brother. It is unclean unto you. So that's what God said.
Right.
So the Lord said, if you love me, keep my commandments. And ultimately, this is for your health. This is why a lot of our people, they die from what? Diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, respiratory issues, the gout, elephant leg. They got to get their leg amputated. That's why your uncle got his leg amputated, man. He kind of rolling around in a wheelchair, smoking a square.
Thank you, brother.
So you gonna stop doing that, brother?
What?
Eating pork.
Yes.
All praise. All praise. What about shrimp, crab, and lobster? They say
I'm going to work on it.
You gonna work on it? Well, all praises. All praises. Brothers say you gonna work on it.
I think about it all the time, but I'm working on it.
Check this out. The Lord said you got to make haste. He said, I made haste and delay not to keep the commandments. Because you don't want to kind of tarry on it and you get jammed up in the long run. Procrastination. You ever heard that saying, procrastination is a sin?
Yeah. Yes. But I do have to leave in a minute. I'm not supposed to be standing this long. I'm dealing with like all types of injuries, and I'm kind of feeling it now. So I don't want to rush you.
What type of injury?
Can you give me give me your closing statement or something?
All praise to the Most High. So the closing statement is, brother, you're an Israelite, the chosen people of God, and in order to receive salvation and be divinely protected in the days that we're coming into, you have to keep the laws.
This is final. Okay.
You have to keep the laws. There's over 600 laws that you got to strive to keep to the best of your ability. Mm-hmm. We just gave you one, the dietary law. But also there's Sabbath day. The Sabbath day is on what? Saturday. Saturday is the 7th day of the week. Right? But a day starts at evening according to the Bible. So from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset, guess what? That's the Shabbat day. No working, no cooking. You can eat, but you can't cook.
I prefer Sabbath.
There you go.
I didn't know I couldn't. I didn't know I couldn't. I didn't know you couldn't cook.
You can't cook. Give me that in Exodus chapter 35, verse 2. Right? Now you can prepare your meal, you understand, but you can't cook. You kindle that fire to cook, you frying chicken, right? And you making some potato salad and some macaroni and cheese upon the Shabbat day. That's evil, brother. You got a day before that, which is the preparation day, to get all your food made. So you're not profaning the Shabbat. Bring this out.
Exodus 35, verse 2.
Right?
6 days shall work be done.
What the Lord say?
6 days shall work be
So
done.
you got 6 days to do work, brother. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's your 6 days to do work. Read on.
But on the 7th day, there shall be unto you a holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. A Sabbath of rest to the Lord.
A Sabbath of rest to the Lord. So the Sabbath day is your rest day. Because what? The Lord ended or ceased from his labors upon the Sabbath day. We read Genesis chapter 2. When he was creating the earth and everything that it contained, he ceased from his labor on the 7th day. So likewise us, we got to cease from our labor. Read on.
Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death.
Shall be what?
Shall be put to death.
Shall be what?
Shall be put to death.
Shall be put to death. That's what the Lord said. Now, of course, we all worked upon the Sabbath day at one point in time. But that's what mercy is applied. But once you know better, you got to do better.
If I may ask, what version of the Bible are you using?
This is the King James Bible.
Okay, awesome.
Right? Keep reading.
Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
Meaning to make a fire. Right? So when you check out cooking, it involves a lot of work. You got to prepare that meal. Much more in the ancient world, you had to go out and hunt for your food. To make bread, you had to go out and get the wheat. You had to kind of grind it down into a powder, right? So it took a lot of work and a lot of labor. So the Lord said to avoid working altogether, don't even cook upon the Shabbat day.
That's right.
You understand? So you got the Sabbath day, brother. You got these different so-called holidays coming in. You can't celebrate them according to the Bible.
That's right.
You think God want us celebrating Halloween? A day to glorify Satan? Trick-or-treating, haunted houses, demons and ghouls and goblins and Chucky. Right? You think the Lord dealing with that? Nah, brother. So we gotta abstain from that. It may seem harmless because they make it so-called kid-friendly and PG-13, but on a deeper grand scheme of things, it's an evil holiday.
I haven't really celebrated Halloween in a long time.
What about Christmas?
Yes.
Give me Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1. We're gonna leave with this. And I want to bring this out to you because you got these holidays coming in. And we may not see you again. So we got to bring out everything we can, Lord willing. So you can know and understand that I can't do these things according to God.
That's right.
Give me Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 1.
My favorite holiday is Easter, so.
Oh, that might be the worst one, brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Does a bunny lay eggs?
I'm not talking about that kind of Easter, brother. I'm talking
you
about the
talking about?
resurrection of Christ.
But that's not going into that, brother.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
not talking
we can
about
break that down
bunnies
too.
and eggs.
Instead of Easter, you got to celebrate what? The Passover. The Passover is the resurrection of Christ.
Right.
That's what we celebrate in order to commemorate the Yahushua, Jesus Christ.
Right.
Not Easter because they mix Easter with paganism.
Right.
That's why you got the bunny
I meant to
hopping
say,
around.
I celebrate resurrection.
Resurrection Sunday, brother.
Yes.
Good Friday, Resurrection Sunday.
I mean, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's luckily it's the only holiday that's not that far off. You're not going to be too more far off than a week or two from when it actually happened.
You check out Easter, brother. They're not really celebrating Christ. They're celebrating a goddess named Ishtar.
Right. But
You check out
mean,
that.
I'm talking about me, not them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but I'm saying even you celebrating it.
And it did
You might
happen-
not-
it
you
did
might
happen
think real
around
quick.
those exact months in time. Like,
Right.
They've been studying all of the moon and everything else.
Yeah, but when you check out Easter, brother, that's a pagan holiday.
Right.
That was created by the Babylonians.
Thank you. Yep, it was.
Right?
Thank you.
That-
I'm gone.
All right, brother. You're an Israelite, brother.
Yeah,
No
thank you.
Easter.
Yeah.
Let me give you that one precept for Easter.
Yeah.
Give me Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 19. Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 19.
Jeremiah 7 and verse 19. Do they provoke me to anger? Saith the Lord. Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces?
Read on.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place,
All right, keep reading.
upon man, and upon beast, and upon the trees of the field.
Verse 16.
Verse 16.
This is about Easter, bro. But I do want to ask you a question. Why do they?
You go ahead. I don't want to be disrespectful because you're reading the word of God to me. So every time you say it, I'm not going to walk away. But I need to walk away.
All right,
So
bro.
let's, you know what I'm saying?
I feel you, brother, and I'm not trying to.
So
be
it's like
disrespectful.
you know, you could be holding me up.
Okay,
Because
this
I
is-
can't do anything but listen.
But just one verse. Verse 16. One verse 16. That's the word of God, bro. Give me verse 16.
Jeremiah 7 and verse 16. Therefore pray not thou for this people,
Keep reading.
neither lift up cry nor prayer for them.
Verse 17.
Verse 17. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes for the queen of heaven.
To make what?
To make cakes for the queen of heaven.
Right, so I understand where you're coming from, brother. You're celebrating Easter to commemorate Jesus Christ. But when you check out the origins and the history of Easter, it was never meant to commemorate Christ.
What verses?
It was always meant to celebrate the Queen of Heaven.
What verses? What verses that he just read?
Jeremiah chapter 7, verse what? 17? Verse 18. So they mix paganism with, you understand, with the word of God.
Yep.
Same thing with Christmas, because they say what? Jesus Christ was born December 25th.
Yeah.
Now that's nowhere in the Bible, brother. So how is
Exactly,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ in commemoration or in correlation with Santa Claus?
True.
That's the question.
And how is bunnies synonymous with laying eggs? Because it all represents fertility. And they made cakes to the Queen of Heaven, the goddess of fertility.
Right.
That's what they did in the ancient world, brother. These are the gods that they celebrated or worshiped. Just like today they worship Allah, Buddha. Back in the ancient world, they worshiped the Queen of Heaven. Right, the Ephesians called her Diana.
Can you
Jeremiah
information?
On that flyer, you got our YouTube, you got social media.
And to pour out drink offerings unto God.
All right, but Salakia, we know the brother got to go. So all praise to the Most High, the water brother for stopping. That means thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, man. Yep.